don't be like that.
Yeah, and I'll do a intro to that. And I have your plans that I can project up, and then for your zoning report applications, just tell me what you want to see on the screen.
Okay, great, thanks, Chris. We'll have to oppose that. You started.
Yeah, I'll always forget to do it after that meeting. Well,
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with the West Goshen Township Planning Commission meeting for August 11th. To start, we can all stand.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, just want to announce that the meeting will be live streamed and recorded. We're going to start with open floor. If there's any public comments on anything that's not on the agenda. Not seeing any. Okay. Looks like for a couple there's none, so we're going to jump right to zoning board hearing applications. The first one is 1314 Burke Road, Westchester Area School District, seeking relief from 84-54.
so I'll give a brief introduction. We have representatives here from the Westchester Area School District. So before the Planning Commission this evening is zoning hearing board application number 8-2026. The applicant is Westchester Area School District, and they're seeking relief from section 8454F of the zoning ordinance in order to permit construction of a sidewalk within a prohibited steep slope, as well as a variance from section 8457 to 10F1 and 8457 to 10F2 to not construct a sidewalk or fence along Burke Road, as there is an existing fence behind the mature row of evergreen trees. This is the location of Pierce Middle School. They're meeting on August 18th. The Board of Supervisors will review the application and determine if they will take a position or remain neutral, and the application is scheduled to be heard by the zoning hearing board at their meeting on August 31st. And as I stated, there are representatives from the school district here, and I'll bring some materials that they can provide.
Thank you, Chris. Well stated, and good evening. My name is Ryan Jennings. I'm here on behalf of the Westchester Area School District. I serve as zoning and land use counsel for the district. I have paper handouts if anyone prefers that method versus the screen. Sure. Happy to pass them out. I think it just makes everyone's life a little bit easier. So this is just a 5-page packet, mostly with depictions that will streamline our brief presentation this evening. Yes, of course. All right. So I don't want to have my back to anybody. I'm going to stand here if that's okay. I'm joined by representatives representatives of the school district, specifically Damon Gonzaga, who is the capital program manager for the school district, Wayne Burster, he is the director of facilities and operations for the school district, and Barry Stingle. Barry is with T&M Associates. He and his firm serve as the project's landscape architect. So here, as Chris alluded to, the school district does not seek any use variances. Instead, we seek three-dimensional variances as well as a special exception. We have a pending application before the zoning hearing board and will be heard later this month. What we're here for this evening is essentially a request for a positive, favorable recommendation from you, the Planning Commission. We will then appear next week before the Board of Supervisors, seeking their input and potential recommendation as we go into that public hearing process in just a few weeks. This, as Chris also stated, is the site of the existing Pierce Middle School. This school has been in existence and use for the past 65 plus years. The school district is at this time proposing a variety of much needed improvements to the school site. You'll see that diagonal red line on the map. That's an aerial map from Chesco used. This site's actually interesting in that it straddles two townships, West Whiteland Township to the northwest and West Goshen Township to that southeast. So it's comprised of two separate parcels and two separate municipalities. We've actually already been to the West Whiteland Township Zoning Hearing Board. We were there on July 23rd, and we unanimously received approvals that evening for a number of variances dealing specifically with steep slopes and involving the school's athletic fields. Conversion of a natural grass field to turf, as well as some steep slope disturbance, some bleachers, some walkways, and some track repair and improvement. So that was essentially the nature of that application in that municipality. We will still be going forward in a very public process for land development in West Whiteland. So our work there is not yet done. After our zoning appearance before West Goshen, shifting back to this township, we still need conditional use approval from the Board of Supervisors. So we may be back before this commission in a couple of months at that time to discuss our land development and our conditional use processes. So this is likely not the first or only time that you'll be seeing us. But we're here for very limited purpose, again, pertaining to our zoning hearing board application. What are these improvements that we propose, and specifically, how does it impact West Goshen Township? The district is proposing to remove and replace modular classroom units with permanent additions to the existing school building. And that really is the extent of it here in West Goshen. Again, I alluded to the fields and the ADA compliant connectivity and sidewalks and track which occurred in your neighboring municipality. Both townships entail stormwater management improvements, so there will be that going on here in West Goshen as well. I want to make abundantly clear that this is not kind of an expansion opportunity or expansion-based application for either of these townships. This instead is a right-sizing initiative. What we're talking about is replacing modular, temporary classroom units with more permanent structures and placements. Those modular units have been in place and in use for quite some time, and this is a good opportunity, given the renovation project, given the district's ongoing schedule, to seek this relief here and now. If we go to, Chris, if I can have you, yeah, that's just another aerial from Google, just to give you a flavor of exactly what that road network looks like, specifically right off of Burke Road there. The next page does detail, and this tracks with your packets that I've handed out. This next page tracks those dimensional variances that I alluded to, and we can go through them very quickly here now. And I'm going to turn things over at any point to the district to address any operational type questions, as well as to the landscape architect to address any plan-related questions, which we'll get to momentarily. But really, these variances, They deal with the disturbance of slopes for grading of building additions and for the construction of a sidewalk. And I'll have Barry explain exactly where that proposed earth disturbance is set to occur. The second and third variances actually pertain to the requirement of the zoning ordinance that a sidewalk be constructed which would run parallel to the existing street for the full length of that street. And when I say street, we're talking about Burke Road. That third variance, a very similar requirement. It would essentially require a 6-foot-high wrought iron or aluminum fence to be constructed running parallel to the existing street, again, for that full length of the lot. If we go to the next page, you'll see a photograph. That's the street that we're talking about, Burke Road. And this is existing vegetative screening. You can see plentiful vegetative buffering there. There's a berm, there's a bit of a slope, and behind all of those arborvitaes is a 12-foot high chain link fence, which was actually replaced just 2 months ago by the district. So there is substantial screen, there is substantial safety and protection from Burke Road, whereby we are here now before West Goshen seeking to not have to install a sidewalk along this stretch here, nor a fence, which already exists just feet away. So that's essentially the nature of our variance relief. And then the special exception, that is to permit the construction of storm sewer structures within, again, prohibitive slope district. So at this point, barring any questions from the commission, sure.
First of all, are you familiar with a comprehensive plan?
Yes. Somewhat.
Okay.
Not familiar.
The comprehensive plan has Burke Road as something that should have sidewalks. Okay. It's a future now. It's done in 2019. Second question, the real question I have for you is, do kids walk to the school?
They do not.
Huh?
They do not currently walk to
So
the
across
school.
the street, they don't walk to school?
They do not. The only students who walk to the school at all are students who live in the neighborhood behind it, and they have permission or perhaps trespass through residents' properties to get to the school, but there are currently no walkers in the schools.
So the only,
Nobody across the street on?
correct,
On
nobody,
Whitman Drive? There's a bus there.
What's
All neighborhoods.
preventing them from walking?
As it stands right now, it is my understanding that pathway is deemed hazardous by PennDOT.
there is no existing crosswalk from this is Woodmont here, and this is Burke. There's no existing crosswalk, there's no crossing guards, there's no existing crossing activity that's occurring to the district's knowledge. What Wayne made reference to is through this residential neighborhood here, south of the school site, there may be, and there is a walkway here, there may be some students traversing this path, which again may be a trespass.
I guess I just question, if you have kids coming from that side, what would stop them coming from the other side?
I think the 35-mile-per-hour speed limit of Burke Road, I think the absence of a
It's
not-
15
not
during
safe.
school time. It's 15.
Yeah.
It's not safe, but that's not gonna stop.
Yeah, it's not
Like,
gonna stop.
That makes it more concerning as to what are we doing to make it safe.
Understood. Yeah, I think that the fencing, the arborvitae, I think they serve as a natural deterrent. In having conversations with Wayne and with Damon in anticipation of these types of questions and of our application, I asked them to take a hard look at whether students are in fact walking to school, how they're accessing this site in a safe and efficient manner. And to the district's knowledge, there isn't any crossing of Burke Road by students on foot to access the school site. Currently, and that's not something that the district thinks would be a wise idea. Yes.
Right. Right here, the sidewalk here, in this area here, this is where you want to move the sidewalk, right?
That is the nature of the slope disturbance
And-
relief for.
So you want to move the sidewalk a little bit south into this area here, right? And that's where the steep slope is, correct?
That's correct, and I'd like to actually allow Barry to do a better job than I
Okay.
did in detailing specifically where those proposed improvements are and how the slopes might be impacted.
Okay, yeah, my question just had to do with how much grading is involved, and if that's allowed to go through, is that going to be dangerous at all? Because you're going to have to grade, it'll be flat where the sidewalk is, but you're going to have a drop off. Are you going to have a fence to keep the kids or the staff from falling? I mean, is it going to be made safe?
Sure, so I'm going to allow Barry an
Okay.
opportunity to, and we'll pull up the plan and we'll allow him an opportunity momentarily to address all of those questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
For the Burke Road, would installing a sidewalk deter the students from trespassing through the neighborhood? I mean, if you create the path, they will come. So wouldn't it make sense to create the sidewalk?
Well, presumably the students that are coming to the site are coming from this neighborhood, from this residential neighborhood, and they're just cutting through here to access the school site because there is an existing crosswalk there. What the ordinance requires is a sidewalk for the entire length of the property along this berm, which is sloped, which would require the removal of all of the mature vegetative cover, which would require grading to flatten the surface, and it would dictate a 5-foot wide sidewalk, which would not connect to anything because there's no existing sidewalk before the site or after the site. So we are not wanting to create a situation which could impose safety-related pedestrian access issues.
And all trees would have to be removed if the sidewalk was installed?
That's correct.
Okay.
On Woodman, is that the other road?
Woodman is across the street, yes.
Am I seeing that right, that it's a sidewalk, that street has? Or am I not seeing it?
No, I think that's accurate. Just looking at the aerial image, are you looking at the aerial image?
Yeah.
I think that's accurate. I think
So
there's a
would there be
sidewalk.
merit in starting from Woodman over to the main entrance into Pierce to do the sidewalk just there? Do something to create a crosswalk?
I don't know if there's an existing site. I know that the one aerial makes it appear as though one of those properties has sidewalk in front of it, but I can't be
I mean,
certain.
it looks like it goes the whole length of Woodman. I mean, it's blocked by trees, so I can't see it hitting the intersection, but the concern just then is if you have sidewalk there, you're creating the possibility of kids coming down that area, and wouldn't it benefit just making a crosswalk there and a partial sidewalk that leads to the entrance of the,
I just don't know that that's kind of an advertised, and I'll let Wayne speak to that. I just don't know that there's an advertised entrance across the street from Woodman. That's where the tree line exists, that's where the fence exists, and that would lead directly to that athletic field.
Yeah, it doesn't match up with the entrance
It
to the
does not.
school.
It does not.
I know that from being in Pierce many times. And I don't really think anybody foot traffic across there for those neighborhoods.
I'll just note on Woodman, the sidewalk, the existing sidewalk terminates relatively in this general area based on looking at the Google Street View on my phone. You're right about there's nothing here and there's nothing on this side of the road.
so it looks like that whole new development put sidewalks in, but not with the housing.
That's correct. It actually looks like there might be a culvert or some type of stormwater basin in that area, so probably was an environmental feature that prevented the sidewalk from continuing down the Burke Road.
I think West Wayland has a sidewalk improvements, don't they? I'm 99% sure, because we based ours off of theirs. Did West Wayland give you relief from the other end?
We did not require relief from the other end. We met with their zoning officer. There was not any determination made that we required relief, or nor was there any desire for West Whiteland to impose a sidewalk requirement.
So you do have a sidewalk requirement as part of the zoning code.
Yeah, that did not come up, and it has not been imposed against
You may want
us.
to check that out, because,
We've already had that conversation.
On Burke Road,
yeah,
you're saying that you have to remove the arborvitae's. I mean, based on this picture, it looks like you've got quite a bit of space on Burke Road.
We don't because of existing right-of-way, and that could just be the angle. I mean, there's an existing berm, it's sloped, and then there's the right-of-way for Burke Road, which would which would feed into this. So it's not as though, you know, we have all of this land at our disposal here.
There has to be a space.
What's that?
There has to be a gap.
There has to be a gap, and probably a significant gap on a 35-mile-per-hour
Yep.
dictated road. So, I mean, without a doubt, I can say all of these would need to be removed, the berm would need to be removed and flattened, you know, graded, and then the sidewalk installed somewhere along this path where the existing new fence was just installed 2 months ago. So, I just don't think that it makes planning or engineering or safety sense.
Just quick
Yeah.
question, Ryan.
Right.
About the sidewalk, I can go both ways. I can see the good part about having the sidewalk, regardless of who's going to walk to the school or not. The good part about having a sidewalk there is setting the tree bit aside, is that it would serve the staff and the students right at the school. They could walk around the school, and it would enhance the property like that. On the other hand, it's a problem, as though you were describing, with the trees, with the grading. You have to put the trees back. There's cost to the taxpayers. So personally, as far as the sidewalk goes, I remain neutral.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, I tend to think that it would pose a major safety risk. I mean, you're talking about middle school age children along Burke Road. You would need fencing. I mean, it's not just a matter of putting in a sidewalk. You would almost need to fence it, and then you ask, well, then what's the purpose of the sidewalk?
Put the trees back. It's major construction.
Yeah.
And it's a big cost to the taxpayer.
And I get that, I don't agree with the premise that kids aren't doing it. I just don't agree that no one's walking from that side to the school.
And what happens if this property owner decides they can't walk through the property? They gotta walk all the way around the neighborhood, walk to Burke Road anyway? And
Well, there is bus access. I mean, this could be, I mean, we can't control every student or, you know, individuals from trespassing through other
But if you
properties.
don't bus over here, okay, then the students have no choice but coming up Sussex and coming around the corner.
But I didn't say we don't bus over, we do bus.
Or you bus all of Sussex?
Yes.
Not only that, I was observing that at the end of my career. A lot of kids get driven to school now. A lot of kids get driven to school. Walking to school is less common.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I could.
Unless you're real close, like I'm pointing at the other, you know.
Why would you wait an hour for the bus if you could walk 10 minutes around the corner from school?
If you're saying all these arborvitaes have to be removed and then there's a fence directly behind it, that fence is up for the sports field, correct? Not for sound, like it's for sports
correct.
protection?
Correct.
Would you even have the space then to replace trees? Or I'm assuming there would be no, the trees could not be replaced there. It would be sports fence for that
Correct.
usage. So
Correct.
it would just have to be curb and there would be no tree. So we would lose all that.
That's correct.
Okay.
The one thing to keep in mind is there is a requirement in the zoning ordinance as it relates to educational uses, but there's also the requirement in the subdivision and land development ordinance for sidewalks in section 7224-2 that requires sidewalks for all subdivision and land development projects, and this will need to go through land development. So there is a separate requirement ourselves that we need the sidewalk installation.
Yep. And we would likely be seeking a waiver for these very purposes when we go through that subdivision and development purpose. And that's for the board of supervisors to decide on.
Chris, I have a question. What is under law, what is the setback requirement?
I don't know off the top of my head, setback requirements
For sidewalk.
So I don't know if there's any sort of general, any requirement, but best practices, you have a curb, usually with like a 6-inch curb, and then you have a 2-foot wide grass strip that acts as like a buffer area, and then you have the sidewalk. So essentially provides a buffer between the roadway and the sidewalk. And as was being discussed earlier, I would argue that on a road that has a 35-mile-per-hour speed limit, you're going to want that 2-foot wide grass strip.
Right.
Those sorts of requirements are generally set forth in like a subdivision land development ordinance. I don't remember if we have those requirements in ourselves.
30 miles.
But I can look.
At this point, if it's acceptable, I would ask Barry to come up and return to the plan and allow him to highlight some of the features in which we actually propose the building modifications, where we're talking about slope disturbance.
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, with regard to the variances we are requesting, Dr. White, you specifically had a question about this sidewalk down here. I'll start over there. So these lighter shaded boxes, or irregularly shaped boxes that you see here, those are the additions that are being proposed to the school. The largest one over here, or almost the largest one, you can see that most of it is in West Whiteland. The township line does cut through it a bit, and a little bit of it is in West Goshen. This one is wholly within West Goshen. This is a classroom addition. This is an administrative addition that's here, that's adding office space and a secure entrance to the front of the school. This is off of the back of the auditorium. This is going to provide some music classrooms. And this addition here, kind of the interior space of the existing school, is an addition to the kitchen, and we're going to reconstruct the loading dock over there. So just to orient you here with regard to what's proposed in terms of the physical changes to the building. Now, because of this addition here, there is currently a sidewalk that kind of hugs the edge of the building up here. This addition does push into that space a little bit where the existing sidewalk is, as you pointed out. So we're going to move that sidewalk so it still hugs the building, but it does have to come out a few feet from its existing location. With regard to regrading this, we do have to regrade slopes. There's slope here, it does slope downhill from the building towards the property line. We're going to regrade that, but it's going to be graded at 3-to-1, which is a relatively shallow slope. It's a mobile slope. So it won't be a drop-off from that sidewalk. So the grading there, we're not creating a new hazard by moving that sidewalk. It's a walkable, maintainable slope that will be down off the edge of that sidewalk.
We would have to put up a retaining wall?
No. Right now it doesn't look like. We have done grading exercises. We are preparing more fully engineered plans at this point, and we don't think we're going to need a retaining wall there. We are proposing a retaining wall over here, but that's in West Whiteland Township. We do have a short retaining wall proposing on the edge of the new track there. But at this point right now, it does not appear we need a retaining wall. If we were to need one, then that retaining wall would have to have a fence or something like that on top of it to prevent anyone from falling. But that's the most of the steep slopes steep slopes disturbance we have here is for that sidewalk, that regrading, that sidewalk, and then the special exception. As Ryan pointed out, in the West Whiteland portion of the property, the district is proposing a new synthetic turf football field to replace the existing natural turf field. They're also going to be replacing the old track with the new track. So there's going to be an underground stormwater management basin underneath this new football field, and that basin is going to be. We have done infiltration testing out here. We've got so-so infiltration. There's some infiltration. It's not as good as we often would like to see. So it's kind of a half and half basin. We're doing some infiltration, some extended detention for the stormwater. There are no new stormwater management facilities proposed in West Goshen Township. However, there is going to be some stormwater conveyance. So we're going to have new downspouts that come off of these additions. Obviously, we are adding some impervious surface to what's out there right now. So you can see this dark dashed line here. That's a conceptual alignment for new stormwater conveyance of piping and inlets that will have roof drains that tie into it. And then we'll be routing that stormwater down here along the lower side of the school through some of those prohibitive slope areas and then over to the new basin here in West Whiteland Township. So with regard to other improvements, aside from the things we've talked about so far, the additions, this the sidewalk realignment, the storm sewer, this administrative additions being proposed here does encroach a bit on the existing parking. Right, I think the pointer's down here. That addition will encroach on that existing loop where parents drop off their kids now. Mentioned a lot of drivers, a lot of parents bringing their kids to school. That is true. The school has two separate drop-off loops, one for passenger vehicles, parents and guardians dropping off and picking up their children, and then the existing driveway that comes off of Burke Road here splits, and then there's a bus loop that's right here that for kids that ride the bus, this is the drop-off and pick-up loop for those kids. Yes, sir.
What's your hardship as far as the extension into the steep slopes area? Do you have to do that addition there?
Yes, there are
There's no other place you can do that? Is that your hardship?
That's correct. Because of the way the school is laid out, this is the classroom section of the school. So these classrooms are being placed where the other classrooms in the interior of the school are located. So that's why that location was chosen. We're not, we don't have any setback issues here. The existing school is an existing non-conforming use, or pardon me, dimension from the property line there. The new addition will not be any closer to the property line than the existing school is right now.
When you did the expansion in 1998, did they envision or expect this kind of expansion, this need back then?
Well, I'll let either Damon or Wayne answer that, but I doubt it was envisioned at that time that there would be an addition.
Yeah, well, I mean, what I can say is obviously none of us were around at that point, but from my understanding, the answer is no. The intent would not have been, obviously, to grow the building larger than what it was at that time. However, programmatic changes that have happened since that time changed the need. Things like the size of the cafeteria obviously drives up. So like there are different parts of the building that are getting small additions ultimately to right size the building to meet modern educational spaces. So when the building was renovated in 1998, it was designed to meet the criteria for a 1998 middle school. We're now trying to move it to a 21st century model.
How long have you had the portables there?
About
That's been a while.
7 or 8 years at this point.
Oh, that's okay.
The original gym, are you leaving that alone?
Yes,
Okay.
to the most part. There's small, subtle changes.
So if parents come to see their kids play on the field, where do they have to park?
There is an existing parking lot here. There's an existing parking lot here. And that sidewalk that we've been talking about here, that does provide primary access to the playing field area. And as Ryan had mentioned, we have been over to West Whiteland, and part of the improvements that include this new track and football field are ADA compliant access down to the bleacher field area. The contour line is difficult to see, but you can see the shading. These darker shaded areas are slopes over 25%. The lighter shaded areas are those 15 to 25. Currently, there is a staircase that comes down from the school. It doesn't quite go all the way to the field. It is obviously not fully ADA compliant. So part of the improvements we're making are to provide ADA access, full ADA access from the parking areas down to the playing fields. So there's most of that improvement is happening in West Whiteland, but this sidewalk is part of that network that gets people down to those fields.
So a sidewalk along Brook Road would help that as well? For people to get from that parking lot on one end of the property to the other end?
That's a long way.
There's a parking lot on the backside.
Yeah, there's another parking.
Probably closer to the sports field than the main
I
parking.
guess it would depend on how many people are attending an event. But Dan is correct. There is a parking lot also in the back of the school. Well, the way the building is oriented, the back of the school here.
Do you have an idea how long the length is along Brook Road that you're seeking your variance for not putting a sidewalk? How long is that?
I'm going to say about 500 feet, between 300 and 500. I'm sorry, I don't have more accurate.
Do you have a spec for the turf products that you're putting in? Just curious.
That will be on the plan. When we submit the land development plan, so that'll be detailed on those plans.
Expected within the next month.
Are Stetson and Fugit getting turf field?
So currently, we installed 2 new turf fields about 3 years ago on the East Fugit campus. So one of those fields is to be used for the Fugit school. And then, so there's
I
currently
know,
3.
we always had to share. We were the only high school we had to share.
Unfortunately, there's some sharing on that side.
Henderson and Ruston didn't, I know that.
That's correct. And we did just install a
No, yeah,
second field
you're
in
right.
Ruston, but our intention will be to eventually rubberize the track and to install a synthetic turf field extension as well.
Mr. Chair, are we ready to make a motion?
Are there any other questions?
If I could just add before the group entertains a motion, I would just conclude by suggesting that, again, this school has been in place and in practice for the past 65 plus years. The last major modification or renovation, if you will, occurred almost 30 years ago. As I alluded to, as we've discussed, this isn't an opportunity as we see it to enlarge the school. We're not looking to add a crazy long list of wish lists. This is simply to right size, simply to modernize, with the objective being bringing this facility into present day academic standards and athletic standards as it pertains to your neighbors, West Whiteland Township. So, you know, I know what the ordinances say, I know what the comprehensive plan alludes to, I know what Saldo suggests, but there is also a zoning hearing board process in which variances can be sought for proper justification. And we intend to appear before the ZHB later this month to put forth our case. This isn't a matter of want, this is a matter of need as we see it. We're not taking this opportunity to add all kinds of bells and whistles, merely to modernize. And you know, we don't want to install sidewalk for the sake of installing sidewalk. To that I would say for who and for what. We have carefully paid close attention to this site as it pertains specifically to sidewalk for the past 6+ months through this planning and design phase. And we're just not seeing the pedestrian traffic. And this site has not had that sidewalk or that fencing requirements for 65+ years. And without the usage, why now? For who, for what? Just to introduce additional pedestrian safety issues. So that's the basis of our application. That's the requested relief that we require. And we would really appreciate a positive recommendation as we go forward with these next steps before the supervisors and the zoning board.
I mean, the who and the what. This was put, as Steve has pointed out, you build these connections so that eventually, when people want neighborhood schools, I live in the district, I know people want neighborhood schools. I'm not real satisfied with the situation here on Burke Road. I am inclined to vote for this, but I think that that's kind of an ideal place to put in the sidewalk. I get that that would require the school to make some modifications to that property, but that looks to me, especially with the development that's in that area, like an ideal place. And if you look at the developments around, they put in sidewalks. That to me looks like that's what we should be thinking about here long term. It's not just for now, like you said, it's a 65-year-old. We're thinking 30 years down the line.
Yeah, I appreciate the opinion. I do. Yeah, I don't know that the district would be opposed to a crosswalk across, you know, if there's some feasible way to redesign that, you know, with sidewalk supposedly on the other side of Burke Road, you know, perhaps that is sufficient for the pedestrian connectivity that you're talking about and ultimately seeking. I just think that given the existing topography, I mean, that is criteria 1 for a variance. And, you know, with the dimensional variance, we don't need to necessarily demonstrate true hardship. We'll save the legal argument for the 31st, but, you know, you have to consider the topography and the unique physical circumstances of this property. And I think that mature hedgerow of giant green arborvitaes is a topographical and a unique circumstance of that property and has been for 6+ decades. The existing fence,
And what's
Keep
the, I
in
don't
mind
know,
though,
what's the
that
efficacy
a lot of
of
that
taking-
housing has been recent. So when you just keep saying 6 decades, things have changed all around the school.
Well, yeah, that's.
So you
that's right.
have to keep that in mind. I understand the complication of fitting something like that in here, but it's gotta be in your guys' mind as to how do we do this if we start getting to that point. Some of these kids in these houses, these may be newer houses, and they're younger kids who have gone elementary school, when they turn middle school, you're gonna see a population walking. We're gonna realize there's a problem when somebody gets hit, because there's not the safety considerations put in place. That's the concern I would have. I understand it's complicated and how we get that stuff in it. I'm sorry,
I agree with this sentiment.
No, I
would
just-
say that there's busing available and encouraged by the district, and, but yeah, you're right. I mean, the neighborhoods could turn over, and, you know, if there becomes a true desire for a lot of students to walk to the site, you know, it's something that the district will need to take a serious look at. We're not seeing that now.
Isn't there a stop sign in Burke and Woodman? No, is it the next, there is a stop sign coming up Burke. No, okay.
It's a straight shot along Burke there.
That's a significant slope from the possible bike side down.
Would the baseball or softball field be, softball, be compliant and be a usable softball field if the curb was installed? You would have to move that entire field, correct?
We would have to move the fence back, we would have to move the trees
Saying
back.
that the trees have to be removed and the fence has to be removed, that would all need to shift.
That's
So
correct.
then it would be a total overhaul of that whole field,
And in.
of adding the curb.
Correct. And the other concern is, quite honestly, do we have enough land on the site to even
To move it.
reinstall a softball field somewhere else? So
Would,
to just put the setback in place, build the sidewalk, move the trees, move the fence, by the time we're done doing all of that,
I
we're
mean,
well into the softball field.
would that still be an issue if we were just putting the sidewalk in, let's say to connect that, what is it, Whitmere, across and into the campus? Because it looks like that street comes right at the pitch. And if you put it towards, where that curb is, like, let's just say you put, how many feet is that?
Like right here, you're saying?
Yeah.
If you
If
allow
you
for a
just
crosswalk?
Yes, if you curve into, say, that parking lot, then curve along maybe into that parking lot and connect it to the path, that would then sufficiently serve the residential community, but not disturb the entire field, lose all of the trees,
I think something else worth noting is the significant slope coming down off of Pottstown Pike, excuse me.
Yeah.
I will say that it's a 15-mile-an-hour road during school hours, but we have seen concerns there. So in my opinion, enticing folks who intentionally cross Burke Road would actually put students in harm's way. So at least from my perspective, I do have concerns with that.
I mean, another thing, and this is maybe different from this, just to keep in mind, is maybe the pure and simple at the entrance to Burke, or entrance into the school off of Burke, put in stop signs. Make traffic stop. It won't necessarily encourage anybody walking, but it'll slow that traffic down in case somebody does.
That's not really a legal option, because stop signs can't be used as a traffic calming measure. They have to meet certain warrants under PennDOT in order to be installed, and involve an ordinance with the board of supervisors. So if you install a stop sign that doesn't meet the warrants that are established by PennDOT and their criteria, then you're opening the township up to liability to that accident happens. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, and just then liability is if an accident happens without anything there.
Oh, no.
All right, but that's aside from the point, let's get back to.
Question for Chris. When we make a motion for this topic, are our choices, what are our choices? For
Either
base?
stay neutral or suggest that the supervisors opposed to.
That's correct.
Okay, neutral or opposed? We can't say support?
Well,
You
neutral is
could in theory, but usually.
Okay, so it's neutral or, okay.
Yeah, you could, in theory, yes, you can. Generally speaking, if the elected body does not take a position on an application, it can be reasonably assumed that there's a certain level of support for the application.
So that's an implication. Okay.
Any other questions? Any motion?
I'd like to make a motion, we remain neutral.
A second.
Any questions on the motion? Audience? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, 7 in favor, 1 opposed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Session.
Thanks, Ryan.
You
See you, Ryan.
When you're sad, you can go over there and use your
Okay, next is zoning application 501 South Five Points Road.
All right. For the planning commission.
Are you taking minutes?
I believe
Fine.
the chairman is taking minutes. I'm just going to introduce. Before the planning commission this evening is zoning hearing board application number 9-2026. The applicant Ferry Properties LLC is seeking relief from sections 8454E1 and 8457.5B of the township zoning ordinance in order to regrade and subdivide the property into 5 individual lots in an area of steep slopes. The board of supervisors will review this application at their meeting on August 18th and will determine if they will take a position or remain neutral. And like the previous application, this one is scheduled to be heard by the zoning hearing board at their meeting on August 31st. We do have representatives from the applicant here this evening, and I have the plans to bring up for review.
Thank you, Chris. Good evening. My name is Mark Padula. I'm a professional engineer, Padula Engineering Company. I'm representing Ann and Debbie and Joshua Curry. They own the property. The intent is subdivide the property into 5 new building lots. Chris, can we start with sheet 1, please? Thank you. This is an overhead view of the property. Property has an access from South Five Points and into an open area here. Where we are is we're about half a mile south of Westchester Pike on South Five Points Road. The current property is 4.1 acres plus or minus. Can we jump to sheet 3 real quick, Chris, please? There's an existing home, single-family home in the middle of the property. Access drive from South Five Points along the access. There's a pool and a couple sheds. Can we go back to sheet 1? Thank you. The intent here is to show you that there's a neighborhood next to us. Those lots are approximately 3/10 of an acre. We're proposing 0.5, a half an acre lot. And to the south, also half-acre lots, some a little larger, some a little smaller. But we're zoning compliant with lot size of 22,000 square feet because we're going to propose on-lot wells for water and public sewer. And when you have one public utility, you can have a 22,000 square foot lot. So we've created a sketch showing 5 22,000 square foot lots. In reality, lots 1, 2, 3, and 4 are approximately over 22, but close to 22, a half acre. Lot 4 has the access. That's about 42,000 square feet, just under 1 acre. To access the property, like I said, we're going to come through the existing access along the northern property line with a cul-de-sac. And then the lots will be on the south side of the cul-de-sac. It's pretty much the only way to lay out the land and use the available space. Can we go to sheet 3 again, Chris, please? The issue we have is that we have steep slopes, 15-25% slopes in this area. You can kind of see the shading there, and in this area here. And then we have other spots of slopes on the property that we have to account for. So when we do the layout, sorry, Chris, sheet 1 again. The lots 2 and 3 impact the steep slopes the most. So of the 2 variances we're asking for, 1 is specific to just lots 2 and 3. Possibly the road, still waiting for Shelby to give us a ruling on the road. The ordinance says lots can only cover 20% of steep slopes with impervious coverage. So the road's not a lot, but because there's a limited amount of steep slopes in the road and we're covering those limited spots, we're going to exceed that 20%. But if that's a lot requirement, then it doesn't affect the road, but I want to get a judgment from the zoning officer on that. So that's the one variance. The other variance is contiguous lot area. And in that case, we don't have it requires 70% of a lot to be contiguous. And by that, they're saying with slopes 15% or under. And none of the 5 lots would meet that criteria. Chris, can we go to sheet 4? Or 5, sorry. What I've done, you can see it on the plan up close, but we've identified the area of 15% slopes or less on each lot. And each lot is short of the 15,400 square feet that's required. So we're going to need a variance for all 5 lots for that zoning requirement. Yes, sir.
Quick question. If you were to not develop lots 2 and 3, just
Right.
delete them, would you still need a continuous variance for the other lots?
The contiguous area?
Yes.
I think yes. Did not look at that specifically because I'm trying to get the number of lots we can get. But the reason I don't know the answer to that question is because the steep slopes, sheet 3, Chris, please. These steep slopes, there's a band of steep slopes right in this area here. So anything we do on this side is going to cut a contiguous lot area in half. So I don't know the answer. I think we would still have to be here for that variance request if we went down to 3 lots. Does that answer your question?
Sort of.
Okay.
How old is the existing house?
From the records I've seen, this house was built in and around 1968.
Okay, before 72, okay.
Right, that's the original owner. The owner prior to the ferries bought it in 1980, occupied it through to 2025 when the ferries bought it.
That was prior to zoning, okay.
Yeah, the previous owner pretty much lived there the longest.
Excuse me, where's the stormwater going to go?
Where's the stormwater going to go? Okay. So when we first started this, we didn't know if we were going to be able to get public sewer, public water, whatever. So we did. Dan and Deborah said, hey, why don't we go out and test and make sure we have something that we can do infiltration-wise. So we infiltrated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spots. And Chris, can we go to sheet 5, please? Stormwater-wise, conceptually, we have infiltration beds at the rear of these 3 lots. The basin could be a combination basin. I'm not sure. We've got to get through zoning before we do engineering. We have an underground basin proposed on lot 5 and an underground basin in the center of the cul-de-sac. The infiltration rates were pleasantly high for us, so we're optimistic that the stormwater is going to be contained within those areas.
Is there enough frontage on the main street for this? I mean, this is like a super flag lot. Okay, so you have enough frontage on the main road? You want to get a variance?
We don't need a variance. We're going to need a waiver. We have 49.67 feet of width. 50 is required. So if we're successful with zoning, we're going to be in front of you guys with land development requesting a waiver for 3 inches. The width of this flag widens to 50 feet. I think it's about 100 feet in. So for the first 100 feet or so, we're 3 inches short of the 50-foot right of way. So,
You know, if this had been a relatively flat lot, okay, I'm like, this is probably a good idea, it'll probably work well, but man, you have a lot of grading issues on this thing. Plus you're going to be taking out trees for all these houses, I assume?
not all the trees, not all the lots. There's going to be tree removal from the rear portion of the cul-de-sac and this way, and then some tree removal down along the southern property line.
Are you planning on clear cutting?
I would say no.
Or are you going to, is your plan to build wooded lots, houses in the trees?
No, because like you alluded to, I mean, there's a significant amount of grading.
Okay.
But again, we need housing. So I mean, this is an opportunity to create housing. And maybe I'm wrong, but I think we need housing.
Generally speaking, yes.
Right.
I guess I
So,
would
I don't know,
question.
maybe
Pardon?
less, maybe not 5, but maybe
Right.
trying to maybe fewer houses.
Well, with the length of that road, the houses are gonna offset the cost of that road and the stormwater management area. So every house we take away, it makes the project less economically viable. And I know economics doesn't mean anything to most people, but at the end of the day, if we're gonna get any houses on there, we have to have enough houses to justify the improvement costs.
Do you already have an architect on board for these houses, or are they prefab? Like, what is the?
Dan and Deborah have done other houses in the past, so we use one of their footprints, so we have a conceptual house that they've built elsewhere. These houses.
So they're like pre-designed. Like it's a design that's just getting put onto a different site. It's already, the footprint's already there.
For this point, yes, because we didn't want to go through having architecturals drawn until we know we're going to move forward. So we took a reasonably sized home. I think it was 2,140 square foot for the house, another 125 feet or so for the front porch. Total footprint of the house is 2,265 square feet. Each one of them is shown. And then we have, in the rear, we have either a patio or a deck, depending on elevation.
So like these ordinances were established for a reason. What justifies waiving those ordinances for this project and not every other project in the township that wants to do this?
Good question. The only way to develop this property is to get the variances from the ordinance.
Only way to develop it into 5 lots, yes.
Right, 5
But
lots.
if you developed it into 3 lots,
Maybe. But like I said, again, once you start taking that number down, I don't know if the numbers are going to work. And again, it's not.
right, but then you're getting into a situation again where we're waiving ordinances throughout the whole township to get whatever done that people want done.
It was
I guess it
suggested
goes
to me
back
to
to
bring
why
it to
we
you guys and get
established
your
the
input on
ordinance
it.
to begin with.
That's the exact question I was thinking.
Is that road entrance, like the upper part, is that people's backyard currently?
Up there, yes.
So
But
it would
most
be-
of those properties are fenced already.
So it's surrounded by other houses.
Yes.
But people's, like, it'll be a road down to people's fences? Like the upper part of the road, you would see a bunch of fences.
Yeah, right, can we go to sheet 2, Chris? I'm not sure if we,
So it'd be like front yard to backyard
yeah.
with a road
So,
across.
are you able to zoom in?
Yeah.
We already have fences.
These 2 pictures up here will show, give you an idea of some of the fencing. Can you slide this way, Chris? Some of the fencing that's going along the property line. Right here, that's our property. But there's fences like this up and down that entrance that pretty much block, I don't know whose fence they are. I think they are the neighbor's fences because there's different fences along that line. So their backyard, when they look into their backyard, they're looking at their fence and not seeing into our property.
Sure, unless a new owner comes in and doesn't want a fence.
You know.
I know this is getting a little ahead of this, but is the plan to dedicate that road to the township?
It is township standard road, yes.
Can we get a fire truck in there?
Township standard road, I would say yes, 32-foot wide carport
And a cul-de-sac?
and a cul-de-sac.
Just turn around?
I haven't run the template yet, but I'm assuming if the township road is, the township spec for what we drew, they considered that when they came up with that spec.
And you're gonna do a sidewalk on one side? Is that your
Yes,
plan?
that's in the template.
In, Mark, in your conversations with Shelby, has she talked about the new zoning ordinance that's out for advertisement right now?
Well, that meeting happened back in May,
Okay.
so I don't think there was much conversation in the ordinance at that point.
All right. The new ordinance is available on our website, the ordinances and resolution section. I can tell you that the 2,000 square foot lots will meet the minimum lot size requirement in that zone, in that new zoning district.
Okay.
But I would suggest to take a look at, I would suggest to take a look at it.
Okay. What specifically do you want me to look at?
Just to make sure that like you won't have, just to make sure that like the sections that you're going to be requesting relief from now, that you won't have to, that you go, when you go before the zoning hearing board, that you're requesting relief and that you won't have to come back once the new ordinance is.
Well, would I have to come back if I have a zoning application that's been submitted and approved?
I mean, that's kind of a legal question. I always thought that the zoning ran with the land development application, but that's a legal question. I mean, if you have an attorney you work with, I would talk to them. So that's just, I'm just giving you a piece of advice.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Other questions?
How much distance do you have from the new proposed road to the back of the current residence lot? Like, could you vegetate that?
Are you talking right here?
Yeah, what's the distance of that, like the width?
Well, there's 50 feet, and then you
No,
guys.
no, from the edge of the road to the, like that.
I understand. I'm trying to back out of it. So 50 feet, subtract out 32, that leaves us 18, so about 9 feet on both sides. So 9 feet in here.
As far as your hardship goes, how would you describe your actual hardship here?
Well, I think I would steal a little bit of Ryan's idea is that the use of the property is limited if we don't get the relief we need.
Okay. Have you thought of leaving the existing house and maybe building 2 others in relative open areas, not on sloped areas?
I did not, because one is frontage. All we have is the 50 feet here, so that would go to the first lot, and we have nothing left for other lots. So the only way to provide frontage would be to put on the road. So, I mean, if there's a way around that with a flag lot or a common driveway, it's possible.
I'm just looking at your plan here. It's a crowded plan for flag lot. I understand homes are built on slopes. I mean, I lived on a slopey house, very slopey. But there was room. It's just kind of a crowded plan, I think. I can see what you're saying about needing housing, but I don't know about cramming housing in purely for economics. I mean, I know economics is a factor, but sometimes you just have to work that out. So that's all.
Any public comments? Any motion?
I think make a motion to oppose.
Any second to that?
I'll second that.
No. What'd you say, David?
Oppose. For recommendation.
I'm sorry, what?
Just oppose. I'm sorry if I misspoke.
You're making a motion to oppose it?
Yes.
Recommend to the supervisor to oppose that application?
Yes.
Okay, we have a seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
2 opposed? Okay, so 6 in favor of opposing, 2 against opposing. So again, this is just a recommendation we make to the supervisors, right? It's their ultimate decision. Me personally, I think you're trying to fit too many houses into something, and I don't see the justification, the hardship that reducing the houses. All right, thank you guys.
You're welcome. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right, next application is 701 East Marshall Road, Chester County Hospital. That is good.
So before the Planning Commission this evening is zoning hearing board application number 11-2026. The applicant, Chester County Hospital / Penn Medicine, is seeking relief from section 8467A6 of the Township zoning ordinance in order to allow a 2-year extension on a previously issued zoning permit for open MRI machine. Chester County Hospital previously received a permit for this use, but requires it to continue beyond the permissions of the zoning ordinance as they evaluate a permanent location. They're meeting on on September 1st, the Board of Supervisors will review the application and determine if they will take a position or remain neutral, and the application is scheduled to be heard by the zoning hearing board on September 28th. And we have representatives from Chester County Hospital and Saul Ewing here this evening, and I can bring up, I believe I provided packet with the zoning hearing board application for the planning commission. I can bring up any pictures or anything you like.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Whitmer. I'm with Saul Ewing. I'm here representing Chester County Hospital, Penn Medicine. I have with me the Chief Operating Officer of the hospital, Shane Flickinger, and he can answer questions that you might have about need, about the planning, about what's happening here. Chris, if you could go to the, I think it's the second color picture, which actually shows the, there it is. So, as I hope you all know, the hospital is located on East Marshall. When you drive by the front, you see the emergency entrance. To the left of the emergency entrance is what looks like a shed roof with a trailer underneath it. That is what we were talking about here. This is not the normal zoning variance for setback or anything like that. The hospital has had the trailer there. They initially sought approval in 2024. They are looking for a permanent location for the MRI facilities. Unsurprisingly, given the current status of hospital access in Chester County, there has been a growing need for MRI services. Chester County Hospital has been looking at where it could put a permanent facility, not necessarily on the hospital itself. They're looking to serve the county. Shane can talk about the surprisingly high use of this single MRI machine that is next to the emergency department. They had hoped, of course, to have found a permanent home by now. They've been unable to do that, but they are confident that if they get a 2-year extension, they will get the Department of Health permits, whatever local permits are required, and find a right-sized location for a permanent MRI facility to serve the county. So we respectfully request that you recommend to the Board of Supervisors not to oppose an additional 2-year extension of this zoning permit. You have a portion of your ordinance that allows temporary uses for a year, and then the zoning officer can extend it for another year. That has happened. We're here because staff no longer has the ability to approve the additional 2 years. We actually have to go to the zoning hearing board, as you heard. So Shane's here, happy to talk about any questions you have. I would note that there have been no incidents with pedestrians or traffic. All of those questions, of course, were addressed initially, but now it's been there 2 years. It's not lovely, but it works. It's safe, and it's temporary. They don't want it to stay forever. So they are actively looking for somewhere to go. If anyone has any questions?
It looks like you've made this permanent with a roof.
So the
You have a roof.
Yeah, so the reason that we did that is as patients were coming out to that, we were experiencing some leakage during the rain and otherwise, so we didn't add that. But that roof is done and the MRI is adjustable to come in. So we felt from that standpoint, there was also some fire safety and life safety things that we needed to do to make sure it was integrated into the building with our fire alarms and some of those. The significance I would add to of the 2 years is our Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Karen Pinsky, and the Health System CMO, Dr. B.J. Brennan, last year approached the Pennsylvania Department of Health because of the demand for MRIs in the region that's just unmet. And we were granted 3 years, so the 2 years is significant to align with the Department of Health. As you can see, there's a lot happening in the region around healthcare organizations building ambulatory buildings. And there are active discussions that we fully intend that we'll have a new location picked and where the permanent MRI will go. The big driver with MRI volume right now is it's becoming a standard in many oncology care plans, and so that's where this is coming from. So if you look at our data and kind of the impact of this, we have experienced since 2023, so our fiscal years go July 1st to end of June. Fiscal year 23 was 9.51% growth. Fiscal year 24 was 13.5%. Fiscal year 25 was 4%. Fiscal year 26, which we just completed, was 7.42%. So that equates to 29,728. The reason of when we looked at this, so the standard for MRI when you look at this is third available slot by MRI. So prior in FY, so in 2025, the reason we made the case after we installed the new MRI at Fernhill to keep this was based on demand. If you look at our MRI wait time for third available, it is 36.4 days in 2025 and 52.4 days in 2025. If you look at 2026, we were able to maintain with the growth and reduce our non-contrast time to 29 days, and then for contrast, it's 56.4 days. So there is a clinical need for that. What we're looking to do is really, as we've identified with oncology care, our bottleneck is more the diagnostics. So we are looking at that strategically of our locations where we put that, both the township and the greater Chester County. So that's from that, our biggest opportunity. When you translate that into numbers, what this allows us to do is we're able to accommodate an additional 100 outpatient MRIs a week at the hospital alone. So it allows us to balance what's happening in the hospital as well as our outpatient settings.
Is this in addition to the machine you have in radiology?
Yes, we have 2 MRIs in the hospital and we have 1 here.
Can you put a building right where it is right now?
Well,
can you?
No, you would disrupt ambulance traffic.
Okay. So you're looking for a spot on the hospital campus?
No, we are looking for an ambulatory location. An ambulatory location. Really from the patient experience perspective of not having people having to come into the hospital. There's also other capital needs within the hospital in our West Wing and other things from a master facility plan that without getting into other constraints that we have in the physical property of expanding the building, we have to feel that would be the best use when we can keep things out in the community so individuals don't need to come to the hospital.
Is there a spot in North Hills Medical Building to put that?
That is the decision between there and Fernhill are options where we are actively assessing. Yes.
And were you doing that the past 2 years?
There's been ongoing discussions from a health system perspective of what is the best case scenario for ambulatory strategy, as well as looking at oncology diagnostics overall. There's been a lot of different plans and iterations of that to figure out what it is. Those things are aligning and coming together, so that's why we're confident that we can meet the 2-year deadline.
I'm just curious, how far along are you in the design process for putting a permanent location for this MRI facility?
Yeah, we've done test bits. It's a great question. So we have a few spaces that we know would fit, and we know we can get the capital to do it. It's a matter of just what other services are we wrapping around it. Are we adding to an existing location? But the other consideration, if you're looking at a net new location, like at North Hills or otherwise, it can be very challenging to just put one unit there from a staffing perspective because you're kind of landlocked then because you don't have anything else you can pull from. There's also medical staffing considerations. I referenced contrast. You need to have a physician on site. So we're really trying to understand based on that. So that's the exact exercise we're going through, John, is can we fit it into existing with economies of scale, or if we're looking at kind of a net new, what else is there so that we can figure out the staffing appropriately.
Just curious, is this a line item in your capital improvement plan for 2027 or 2028? I mean, have you dedicated monies aside for this?
Yes. Yes.
Because you not will be coming here 2 years from now and asking for another extension.
No, there's active allocation of ambulatory care money in there. We are actively working to see what's the best use of that money to have the maximum impact. So it is absolutely there. And from the health system perspective, there's a big focus on increasing member access. So yes, there is gap. And we are fully aware that in 2 years, if we don't have a plan, that's on us.
Well, and you've been working with the Department of Health.
Yes,
Correct.
and they
So
are aware.
they're not regulated only by local regulation, but by the state.
I'll make a motion to recommend the supervisors to stay neutral with this.
I'll second.
Any public comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? John, read favor or opposed?
I'm in favor,
Okay.
within 2 years.
Seems reasonable.
Thank you all. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you on September 1st.
Yes.
Thanks for your help.
Okay. Next is discussion of possible recommendation of park and recreation and open space plan for West Goshen Township.
Do you need a seventh inning stretch here?
So I'll kick it off.
Okay, thank you,
Turn it
Chris.
over.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So for the plan, so we have Ann Toole this evening here from Toole Recreation Planning. So before the Planning Commission this evening is consideration of the proposed park recreation and open space plan for West Goshen Township. For some background information, at the December 19th, 2023 meeting, the board awarded a proposal for Toole Recreation Planning for the development of this plan for the township. The township worked through a steering committee consisting of members of the Board of Supervisors, Planning Commission, Park and Recreation Board, and Sustainability Advisory Committee to prepare this document along with their firm. The township did receive a $45,000 Vision Partnership Program grant from Chester County to complete the project. As I mentioned, Ms. Toole is here this evening to present the plan and provide an overview. This plan would serve as a supplement to the township's 2019 comprehensive plan. At their meeting on July 7th, the board authorized the plan for advertisement. It has been submitted to the Chester County Planning Commission for review and is available on the township website for public review. And I also, in accordance with the municipality's planning code, did submit it to our neighboring municipalities and the Westchester Area School District for their review. So Ann has prepared a presentation that I will bring up.
We have these brochures, we have plenty of them too. If you want to take a bunch and pass them out, we would love to have the public see more of this.
And I'll note that so with those brochures, so Ann brought those with her to the July 7th board meeting, and our Park and Recreation Director, Ken Lear, has been distributing them at all of our community events and giving them out to people. We've gotten some feedback, and it's been generally positive, I would say. So it is now just going through the review and approval process. All right, so Ann, just let me know in the
Okay,
next slide.
so the next one, please. So it has been such a joy to work with this township. And I worked for the National Park Service managing their park planning program for the 14 northeastern states. So I've been around the block a few times. And when I came here and to work with you all, it was such a joy. It's so well managed. There's such great support for parks, recreation, open space, and trails. So this plan builds upon your success. There's nothing to correct here. It's all building upon your success. So we're grateful for all the names you can see of all the people that have been involved in this process. It's all rooted in community engagement and public opinion, which we added our expertise to. We have landscape architects, scientists, environmentalists, and community planners on our team.
One thing I'll add on to what Ann said was, as part of this process, and I'm sure she'll touch on this later, is we did a large community survey over like a long period of time, and we got nearly 1,000 responses, and that is highly unusual in public surveys of this magnitude.
But that was purely online, right?
It
Yes.
wasn't, so how do people know to go and see that? I didn't know. I never got anything in the mail. I would have loved it.
We advertised it through our e-newsletter. We had business cards made up that we handed out at our community events. We posted information at our parks. There were ample opportunities for people to go.
Signs.
Excuse me, this information here, it says only 90 people, and if you take 23,000 taxpayers, 90, going from what this says, 90 people are telling me that they
No,
represent.
933 responded, plus we did focus groups and interviews. And when you add the 933, they represent, it's times your number of households. So it's not 93 individuals really, they're household surveys. So you could multiply.
But that'd still be less than 1%, wouldn't it?
Not if you, we did that, we crunched that number on the number of households. We crunched the number of households, and it escapes me at this moment. But it's, if you have three, I'm sorry, I can't think what the number of households is, but it translates into a much larger number. When you look at statistically valid and reliable surveys, which this is not statistically reliable, but if you watch the news and you look at polling, look at those numbers. For the whole United States, it's 329. For us to get a statistically valid and reliable survey, we would have needed 329 responses. We got almost 1,000.
Wouldn't this have been better for the township to put this on a referendum to have people vote for it?
No.
Rather, no, wait a minute. Because at some point in time, what I can see by reading this thing, it's going to cost the taxpayers some money down the road.
It will.
Well, and that has to be put on a referendum.
No,
No?
no.
Then I can tell you now, I'm opposed to it.
The primary purpose of this, quite frankly, when we started discussing this in 2022 into 2023, was to have a tool that we could point to as a planning document related to grant applications. Because one of the weaknesses that we got back from the grant application was we had no specific plan that we could point to related to the township's park system. The last plan of this magnitude that was completed was sometime in the early 1990s. And we didn't even have a digital version of that plan until somebody just brought us a hard copy. We digitized it. So we really had no individualized planning document that we could point to in our grant application. And quite frankly, the township's comprehensive plan is severely lacking in recommendations related to parks, recreation, and open space. And the referendum that you're talking about is if the township were to impose an additional 0.25% EIT tax. The Board of Supervisors elects to allocate money towards park improvements, towards capital improvements. That is an entirely policy decision for the Board of Supervisors to make, and they do that regularly.
Yeah, there's no tax being suggested here to fund these projects.
In fact, actually, one of the things that Ann proposes is, in this plan, is beefing up the township's open space payment, or what's it called, the open space fee, to allow the township to build up a reserve fund to offset these costs, which is what Greystone was doing, which is what the township has utilized in order to purchase new equipment and to do park improvements.
And there's research out there, plenty of research out there that shows for every dollar a municipality invests in public parks and recreation, from $3 to $45 is generated in the local economy. So we understand the numbers and the budget, and one of the things to consider is that investment in parks is, spending on parks is an investment, not a cost. That's the perfect segue to the next slide, where this plan is grounded in what we heard from the residents. From the interviews, we had focus groups. We met with all of the township committees and commissions and boards to make sure that we got everything, we heard from everybody as much as we could. So anybody, through social media and the advertising that Chris talked about, our goal was to welcome everybody's opinion, so we took it where it was. So next one. So here's what we heard, that what the residents are mainly interested in, if you go to Community Park, more shade and more comfort, benches, safe walking and biking. The perfect timing on this presentation is that safe walking and biking is a top interest in your community. So the question is not who does that, it's who could walk or bike safely if the system were set up to accommodate that right. Updating your facilities, parks for everyone. Traditionally, parks have been for boys in the summer playing sports. Well, we want parks to be for everybody throughout their whole age. We heard that loud and clear. There's a demand for pickleball and indoor recreation. Go ahead.
Just a quick question. Back in 2018, former supervisor Mary Lasota proposed that we study the idea of playground equipment for disabilities.
Oh, yes.
And that was looked into, and Casey, may he rest in peace, did some research on that. It was decided that the cost was too high as compared to. So anyway, my point is that we looked into that, and I think when we had Doreen here, there was efforts to make sure our playground equipment could be used by everyone.
Yes.
Within practical reasons. Okay, so that's all.
Thank you. That's a really important point. Anything that we design now takes that into consideration. We did a playground for Warrington Township that's actually the highest playground accessible east of the Mississippi.
Okay.
It's beautiful. And we know that you're doing playground improvements as we were working on this. That's all taken into consideration. You can't even get grant funding without doing that now. So that's important. Thanks for bringing that up. So we came up with 3 themes to conserve. People are very interested in trees and open space and clean air and clean water, to enhance what you already have, and to continue in Excel. Excel's the theme because you have superb management here. Everybody from your board, the Board of Supervisors, all your other boards and commissions, township management, and the Parks and Recreation Department, the Public Works Department. It's all superbly managed. I've never seen that. We've never had this theme before. So we're recommending continuing on that path through a theme of Excel. Okay. So conserve is what we're recommending here is you all were talking about these things in your discussion tonight about the school variance requests, stormwater management, trees, the tree plan. We're recommending an official map so that you could look at where your trail linkages may be, the safe places to walk. So sidewalks aren't there kind of out on their own, but they're connected. And we're looking at Greystone stewardship, that to take your system from 195 acres, adding 163 acres of parkland is a major step forward. So Greystone, the stewards, and Greystone's a very different kind of park than you already have.
Yeah,
So,
if I could just say, that was one of the main tasks that we asked you to take a look at, because either later on this year or next year, sooner or later, we're going to get that 163 acres, which is almost going to double the acreage we have in our township that's dedicated to parks. So this is really very timely.
And I know that our public works team has gone out at least twice, I believe, on the serpentine barrens for the maintenance of them.
what a property. This is just another reason it's just such a joy to work on. Next one, please. Next one is enhance. This is the building on your success theme. Your parks are wonderful. They're absolutely clean. I've never seen them parks in a condition like you have. So building on that success is really very important. Modernizing the playgrounds, making sure they're welcoming to everyone. Expanding trails, safe places to walk and bike is one of our main goals in this plan. Integrating the arts. Ken has brought out a wonderful focus group. We had the arts thrive in this community. And we believe that West Goshen would set the model statewide for integrating arts through parks. To elevate Community Park, which you're already doing with the splash pad, the playground, rejuvenating Lambert Park is really important. You have demands there, probably bigger dog park, probably bigger skate park, pickleball additions. So some of these planning items have to be woven together. And I loved what you said is that we're looking 35 years ahead, not 65 years ago. So we're trying to help you position for that, as well as the people today. And to develop that neighborhood commons where we have small open spaces, which are just wonderful. We're recommending that we build upon those to keep them as open space for neighborhoods and to connect them so that you have a true system, not just things here and there, but everything gets connected with more of a focus on people than cars. Okay? So Greystone. The Greystone, we're recommending here that you build on the work that Natural Lands has done for you already on the stewardship and access to Greystone. That needs to be settled upon, and then once you decide that, we're recommending that you look at Greystone and Community Park and Lambert Park together to see what facilities make sense where. Maybe you could move some things around without buying more. You could build on what you already have. So we're recommending a couple of things on Greystone there. Okay, next one. And Excel. This is invest in staff capacity. The one thing that we got concerned about was everybody here probably does too much. As individual human beings, they're committed and passionate and excellent at what they do. But we need to look at more staffing, especially if you're doubling your park system. So that brings on some new skills, like park maintenance has been traditionally mowing, litter pickup, things like that, ball field maintenance. What we're looking at now is taking care of natural resources for clean air and clean water. Strengthen the coordination among all the departments. This township operates as a team. Not many townships do that. We advocate that would continue. And that you actually build a 10-year capital improvement program looking at some of the concerns that John raised and that what Chris talked about in terms of looking at how do we finance everything. And maybe looking at some dedicated funding streams like increasing your mandatory dedication of parkland fees, things like that, and whatever tax incentives you could use. And to track your outcomes, that means that there is a perception that parks are nice to have if you can afford it, but we know that parks are an investment. They increase property values, keep our water clean, keep our air clean, they attract businesses and residents. That's my family there. Okay, next one. So moving this from vision to action. We have a series of tables in here that makes recommendations on how you get all this out the gate. That you were already doing a lot when we were working on this plan. We were moving ahead with improvements to Community Park, You did some pretty wild and crazy things. One of my favorite is the walkway that you acquired, the little walkway down to
Cooper Smith.
At Cooper Smith. I love that. And you're doing some work in Cooper Smith related to the environment. And we helped some of our environmental scientists provided some recommendations on tree plantings for the EAC. So it's realistic. We worked really hard in crafting something that was not pie in the sky, but that it's actually practical, achievable, implementable, and positions you perfectly to be very competitive for grants, for grant success. And we're kind of a little bit behind on some of the opportunities, like the William Penn Foundation last year dumped a boatload of money on planning for trails, and we're recommending that. One of the things that we're recommending, you saw the picture of my family there, is that my little 4-year-old grandchild, we went to your bike shop, the Trek Bike Shop, and we found that the owner of that bike shop rides his bike from Valley Forge every day to the Trek Bike Shop. And we found that we think that that's perfectly positioned to do some kind of a trail alliance where involve them, somebody like him, to help get it going and to work in partnership with Westchester Borough and East Goshen, and you would have a regional hub to make things march forward. So you're not out there doing it by yourselves. You don't have to do things by yourselves. So that's kind of our matrix, our mix is you don't have to do everything by yourselves. Work with partners, look at what you have, build on success, and create a reasonable, implementable capital improvement program. And along the way, help your staff. Maybe we need some more people in programming and maintenance and natural resource management, and you will be able to figure all that out. So that is it. Here's what we did for the jump start. We call it a jump start, so it's like, well, we don't want to hand you this big document and say goodbye. We wanted to strategize with you to move ahead. So we're recommending the tree plan first, and then the stewardship studies with Greystone, and looking at Lambert at the same time. Adding, these are cheap, easy things to do. Adding benches, we put Adirondack seating in places so that people can move their seats around for shade, things like that. And then one of my favorites, every time I come here, I could just drool when I see Paoli Pike Gateway Park. If I could wave my magic wand, that's what I would personally love to do first, is create a wonderful gateway that's actually a neighborhood park on Paoli, with public art facilities where people could read and relax and socialize and play some games. It's a site of beauty for you. The Trail Alliance I spoke about, the pilot on the arts program, then updating your mandatory dedication. One of the questions that we got was a big one on how do we motivate the Friends of the Parks. We took that very seriously, and in the plan you'll see there's a strategy for how do we get that going again. And it's different ways of recruiting and different ways of making things happen so that you tap into people in the community that you may never have heard of before. Like one of your points, John, was, I didn't know about this. So we have a whole strategy in there to help you rally the troops around Park Friends. We've seen this very successful in other places. And that we're actually asking you to review these recommendations before budget season. So it would be around now where you look at, well, what are the opportunities? And opportunities emerge all the time. Who knew ARPA funds would ever come along? So we're asking you to review this document before budget season so that your budget requests would match what you really need to do and would help you seize opportunities that are out there. So, okay. So what we're looking for by 2035, which I heard you all talking about earlier, is to continue your premier park and open space system, to have a walkable, connected community. There's a section in here, the 10-minute walk. You'll see all the little 10-minute walk circles. Pierce is on there. A fiscally responsible system, which you already have. Remarkable parks and programs. We want people to be talking about Greystone, continuing to talk about Lambert. We know, we did the plan for the borough, and we know that people from the borough use your community park because they love it so much. And they have some nice parks in the borough. And that you have a respected Parks and Recreation Department. We know that it already is. Ken was the president of our state Parks and Recreation professionals. And that this community remains proud of its parks. Throughout this whole process, we heard people bragging that they live here, and we ran into a lot of people that moved here because of Community Park and Lambert Park, especially. I love Cooper Smith. So the community proud of its parks. So that's what we're asking the vision to be. So what we're asking from you is your endorsement to recommend moving this forward to the Board of Supervisors. And we're asking to help champion that jump start. Like, make some things happen. Don't let this be a plan to sit on the shelf. And direct all your governance tools, like your mandatory dedication. Use what you have as strategies to generate support. And serve as ambassadors for the implementation. You're the planning commission. We have seen planning commissions be the single most important part of developing a safe trail and a safe network of places to bike and trail. That came through planning commissions because they identified when a development comes in, where's the linkage. So your role in this is really critical for meeting what we heard from the public as one of their top needs and interests. Okay, I'd love to hear comments and questions. Yes?
The question I have is, how much did this document cost the taxpayers, including the grant?
It was it
So the
90,000?
proposal was $90,000.
90,000.
So it was 45 from the grant and the remainder from the $90,000.
So when we think about these plans, I could give you an example. Over in Warrington Township, we did a plan just like this for $75,000. It was probably 7 years ago. And we used that plan to get some grant money to build a new playground. And all told, that generated probably $7 million because a plan was in place. So what we try to do is position you so that this becomes your investment, not a cost. That it was, if somebody gave me, if I spent $90,000 and got several million back, I'd be really happy.
Okay, if this document is approved by the Board of Supervisors, is it legally binding in any way, or is it just to serve as basically a sales brochure to the grant writing authorities?
We say it right in the beginning, flat out. This is not a law. This plan is advisory and a guideline.
Advisory only?
And a guideline, yes. Yes. No, people may try to like hold somebody's feet to the fire. Well, it says this right here. But it is advisory and a guideline. It is not a law.
Okay.
Even as it's adopted as advisory.
Okay, just one more thing. I know everyone else has one. This is a very big document to go through. I've written all through this thing. I scribbled all over it, dog-eared it. This is a lot to decide on in one meeting.
Oh, I understand. Yes.
And again, I would respect the commission's decision, but I would prefer to hold off on any decision tonight and allow the Park and Rec Board to make their decision first. Hear what they have to say. Any additions, any subtractions, what they have to say. We can still have a discussion, and I would recommend that we not do it all in one meeting. And even divvy it up amongst the commission members. It's a very big document to look at. Anyway, that's all.
I would actually take the opposite position of Doug. I think this has been so thorough. I read through this. They did such an outstanding job putting it together. They've already talked about this at Board of Supervisors meetings. I'm actually quite comfortable moving forward, given the work and given the years of time they've been putting. I don't see any point in delaying this.
I don't see a big rush. I don't see an urgency. I would rather see the Park and Rec Board. This is their thing. This isn't really a planning document. It actually, tangentially maybe, but I'd rather see the Park and Rec Board see what their opinion is first. And I am a little disappointed that not everybody got a survey in the mail. I mean, you have.
No, we don't mail out surveys anymore.
Well, we did with the comp plan. Comp plan was done, I thought, a little bit better. But still, it would have been nice to mail one to everybody. That's all.
Any other thoughts, comments?
If we're quantifying things, how long did it take to cut, like, out of those $90,000, how long did it take, like?
Oh, and we were working on it about 2 years. Yeah. About 2 years. I just want to say one thing about the
Quantify both
length.
the cost and the time. I think that we
Just
should.
to add on to that, so over the course of those 2 years, 2.5 years, I would say, we did steering committee meetings, we did public surveys, we did a tour of the park system with the steering committee and the Park and Recreation Board to evaluate everything actually in the field. We did focus groups. We did a public meeting where the public was invited to attend and provide their input. I will say that I think only one member of the public showed up.
Yes.
And all they cared about was pickleball.
That's
That was
right.
in March of 2025. So there was a lot that went into all of this.
Oh, I fully agree. I just like, if we're gonna quantify one thing, let's quantify.
Thank you. Just to make it a little bit easier on the length of the document, the actual plan is only about 100 pages. The rest of it is kind of your Bible, your resource, that you could cut and paste and put it in your grants or refer to facts and figures. So the actual document's about 100 pages. That was our goal. We didn't want you to drown.
So
Less is more.
So this isn't the actual document then?
Yes.
It is the document.
Yes. Well, I think that it is. It looks like
This
it.
is over 200 pages.
Right. 100 pages is the plan, and then the rest of it is the appendix. And that includes the foundational material, the inventories, the analysis, all of that.
Okay. Is this it doesn't say draft or proposed on this. Is this the final?
No, it's not. It's a draft.
Well, it's the final version that's been authorized for advertisement. If there are changes that need to be made based on reviews by Planning Commission, the Park and Recreation Board, the Chester County Planning Commission, those would be made prior to adoption, but that's the version that was authorized for advertisement by the board.
Okay, so this is going to be an amendment to the comp plan?
An addendum, yes.
An addendum. So should it say that on this?
We could do whatever you want with it.
Okay,
Usually we put a resolution in it.
There's going to have to be a resolution that's adopted that accompanies it that would state that it's an addendum to the township's 2019 comprehensive plan.
Okay, so an addendum, a resolution is going to be done to amend our comp plan by itself, and then another decision is going to be made to make this document the addendum.
Well, the resolution would adopt the plan, the Park and Recreation Open Space Plan as an addendum to the township That is-
So they'll do it all on one resolution.
All right, any other questions? Any motions?
I'd like to make a motion, we support the plan. I read it and I thought I was proud, actually. I thought it was a great piece of work.
Okay, I would second. Okay. Okay. So we have a motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Opposed, reasons. I have a bunch of reasons, but I won't say them all. But the main ones are, I still would rather see what the Park and Rec Board says first. There's too much emphasis on nectar nodes. I think they take away from the actual play areas.
Okay.
And then
I'm going to stop you now. We're not going to go. If
okay.
you wanted to add things like that, then email me that stuff. But we're not going to go through line by line what you
Okay.
do on this.
I will send those to the
Okay.
chair. Thank you.
Motion is 6-2 passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all your work that you do on everything. Thank you very much.
Appreciate your efforts.
Oh, thank you.
All right, next is approval of the minutes from the July 14th, 2026 meeting. Any comments on that?
I didn't receive any.
What?
I didn't receive any comments on it.
Okay. Is there?
Yes, a couple of comments. Primary land development for Westchester Kia actually would require 28 EV charging stations, actually 23, and the total parking spaces is 230. Although leaving it over 200, the actual is 230. Down below that where it says Board of Supervisors with suggested waivers could say with applicant requested waivers. Everything else is fine.
Okay. Motion to accept?
Yes, with the corrections.
Okay. Well, Steve, you make it with the corrections. Seconding, anybody second it?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I abstained because I was not at the last meeting.
Okay. All right. Then we are adjourned.
See you, Tom.